Welcome to episode 9 of Cocoon. And on this episode, we have the amazing Angela Rojas, who is a quantum healer and coach, joining us. Welcome, Angela.
Hi, Dr. Karen. How are you?
You're good, thank you. I'm so excited to have you on the show. And so we always, with our guests, we just want to get them to actually just explain their journey first. So how did you begin, and what is your journey from then to now as a quantum healer and coach?
Wow, my journey is really funny because I tell people, when you're a kid and everyone says, did you want to do this as a child? I never had that. There's kids that you ask now, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they go, I want to be a fire engine. I want to be, or a fire brigade, not an engine. And then, I met this guy in India and I said, how did you want to become a pilot? And he said, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a pilot. I never had that experience. I never said I wanted to be a healer or a yoga teacher. And anyway, I had been reading Louise Hay since I was 17. It was my first book that I read in this wellness field, and I just loved her work. And I remember diagnosing everybody. Everyone would say, I've got a sore elbow. And I was like, this is the belief, and this, you've got to say this affirmation, and this is the probable cause. So I just fell in love with the body and how our body mechanics work. Anyway, fast forward to 29 years of age, I went through a separation. I was going through a divorce. And my psychologist said to me, you need to do meditation. And I said, oh, okay. She goes, you talk too fast, you don't breathe. I said, okay. And I still talk too fast. And so I was going through a terrible separation, and I had a healing done by this healer many years ago, Ron Urquhart. And he has since passed. And I remember coming out of that session thinking, oh my God, I feel fantastic. I want to do this. And I came home to my husband and I said, hey, Al, I've decided what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to become a healer and I'm going to heal the world. And he looked at me and he said, I want a divorce. And I said, all right, cool. I said, the washing machine, can we swap it for the barbecue? Like I went into, yep, no worries, I'm out. Because my marriage was already over. My psychologist was pretty much saying no. Anyway, I was finding a meditation place, and a friend said, why don't you try Satchitananda yoga? And I said, no. My psychologist said I need meditation, not yoga. She said, pedal, just go to one class. I went to one class of Satchitananda and I fell in love with the class. I fell in love with the meditation. I became addicted. I went to 5 yoga classes and 1 meditation class. I went 6 times a week. Like my life revolved around my classes. Like people would say, we're doing this. I go, no, I've got yoga. And so then I moved to Sydney. So I broke up with my husband, moved to Sydney, and I was trying to find a yoga place, Satchitananda in Sydney. And I couldn't find one locally that catered for my 5 times a week. And I went to another class at the TS bookshop, and we had props. And I said, what kind of yoga is this? I was like, this isn't right. Like, why are we doing this? And I came home really frustrated. And I said to my partner, you know what, babe? I'm going to go learn yoga because I'm going to teach. There are no yoga teachers in Sydney. So I didn't even plan to be a yoga teacher. I got to Mangrove. I studied, and fast forward. I met a beautiful girl, Melanie, and she was reading this book. And she said, hey, you would love this book. And it was called Feed to Healing. And I heard she was an actor and a pop star. And she was in a pop group, so she was a singer and pop star. And she said, you love this book. And I heard theatre as in acting. And I went, no, I don't think that's for me. So anyway, that's not for me. So she went on to sing in Dubai. I went on to stay in Sydney, finish my yoga studies, and then I caught up with her 4 years later, and I broke up with that partner, and I was really depressed. And she said, if you had all the money in the world, if money wasn't an issue, what would you do? I said, I'd be a healer. And then she said, you need to go and do this course. And she came out with a book. And I said, Mel, I remember that book. You were reading it in Mangrove in our first year of training. And she said, yeah, I told you about it. She couldn't remember, actually. And I said, I remember the word theta. She goes, well, it's theta, like Theta. And
not theatre.
Yeah, and I thought it was theatre. And I thought, no, that's not me. Even though I'm a drama queen, I can act angry. So I went and I studied, and I saw the teacher, and I looked at him, and I I thought, oh my God, and if he can do this, I mean, she said to me, he knows the body like you know the body. So I went in and I did his basic and his advanced, and I said, I can do this. And I was already a yoga teacher. I had already done held space as a trivia hostess for 2 years, so I knew how to manage a crowd. And I went on to become a theatre healer, and that is my foundations. That's what got me working with people, how to counsel, how to do therapy, and I just got so involved in it. And for the last since 2009, I was seeing clients professionally, but I was teaching, since 2009, and I was teaching yoga since 2008. So that's how I got into it. So thanks to my husband, my ex-husband, saying I want a divorce, I was like, yep, I'm out of here. I want the washing machine. You can keep the barbecue. So that's how I started.
And so our next question is all about energy. And so I've always known you to have a lot of energy, but how do you maintain those energy levels? Like, do you ever have downtimes? And if you do, how do you stay so energetic?
Oh my God, that's a really beautiful question, because everyone thinks that we've got it and we don't. You know, I remember when I started seeing clients professionally, like teaching yoga, I wore myself out teaching yoga for the first 3 years, because the yoga places that I was teaching at didn't cater for the style that we teach. The style that we teach is not demonstrative, it's instructional. And it's all about bringing the body into quietness and peace and preparing the body for meditation. So it's about settling the mind and the body. The yoga places that I was training at was all about showing the pose and doing the poses with them. So I was teaching 8 classes a week. So I was exhausted. So I remember saying, I can't do this anymore, doing 8 classes a week. So I stopped. And then when I started and seeing clients in a professional basis as a theatre healer, it was more engaging, because I was listening to their problems one-on-one. So I would say the first 3 years, even the first 2 years, I wore myself out, and I didn't realize how important it was to be doing the work. So at that time, I didn't take care of my body. I just saw clients, I was teaching them to be practitioners, and I got into a space that I didn't realize that I was going through depression. And because you've got to keep your energy levels high, seeing clients, I realized that at the end of the day, I was exhausted. And I realized I'm not taking care of myself. And someone gave me a supplement, a blue bottle called Body Balance, and I started taking it. And it was only then that I realized how much I was living off my adrenals. And after that, I said, okay, I need to take care of my body. So now the best way to take care of myself is I get the work done. I see someone to vent my issues. I rest a lot. I exercise. Even though yoga is fantastic for settling the mind, we still need to move the body. And I have someone that takes care of my nervous system. I do network care. So I have to have time out and days off. Like, I don't work Mondays and Fridays. I don't see clients on a Monday or a Friday. They're my days. So I see them on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And now occasionally I'll see a Saturday. So it's all about putting my needs first. Because I remember when I was dropping into depression, I was only concerned about their needs. And I realized over the years, if I'm not taking care of me, I'm not that best person for them. So taking care of me. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like putting the oxygen mask on yourself.
Exactly.
Before,
And sorry, I just wanted to add to that. And the other thing is, when you're doing the energy work, we got to remember as well that we are the example. So if something shows up in your life and it's not, we have challenges too. We all have challenges. We're not exempted. COVID was a good experience of that. No one was exempted. It wasn't biased in any way. So we need to acknowledge, how do we handle that stress? And the way we handle it, that's an experience for us to be able to give our experience to our clients and our students and say, this is how I managed it. Try this. And so we're like, I sometimes feel like we're the what's it called, the test out in the universe. How does it, how do you manage it, and then you pass it on? So
and I mean, would you really trust someone to treat you and heal you if they just look like they'd never slept for the last 3 days?
I know. And I've got friends in the industry, and I'm a big networker, so I'm always recommending my therapist to my friends as therapists to my clients. And I have a few of them that I won't recommend them, and they say, why? And I say, because you don't do the work. You don't take care of you. So I know that you're not doing it from the space of the heart. You're doing it because you need an income. So no. It's important.
Yeah. And my next question sort of links with that. So sometimes in the wellness space, you might have like a really intense period, like really highly intense in terms of emotionally and psychologically, or you're dealing, healing and working with someone who really takes a lot of time and energy and effort, which is, what you do as a healer. And then after that, though, how do you recover from that yourself? Like what do you have any sort of techniques that you use to make sure that you're okay after such an intense period?
Yeah, I was introduced to network care, which is it's called NSA, Network Spinal Analysis. It's you have to be a chiropractor to practice this, and so a friend of mine took me to that, and I thought, wow, this is weird. And what I loved about it was they don't crack your back. It's not about manipulating. It's about your body's responding naturally. And so they work on the areas where there is movement in the body, and it's about bringing the spinal cord back into the spine, and it's really working with your nervous system. When I started doing that, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And that's my go-to. Once a week, it's about me. 1 hour with the network chiropractor, or maybe 40 minutes, and it's about taking care of me. 2, I really rested up. So there's those days where I won't do anything, and I'll sit on the couch and I'll do Netflix like for 2 hours or 3, and it's just that dead space. And 3, reading, because as soon as you read, it's information, and that information goes in the body, and then it's like opening up another awareness. And so at that moment, everything that you've just done with a client, it takes it away, and you're like, oh, this is interesting. So it takes away all of that pressure that you've taken on board. Exercise. I exercise daily. That's important. Walking. So I don't walk for my physical health. I walk for my mental health. I love walking, because as I'm walking, I can listen to podcast, or I'm walking and I'm processing. So it's so important to really take time out. One thing that I did for a little while, I was drinking a lot of wine, because that was my go-to. It was like at the end of the day, drink wine, and that creeps up. 1 glass, 2 glasses, 3 glasses. Next thing you know, you're like, there's that much left to the bottle, and you just go, I'll just finish it. And that became a daily habit. And it was then when I started realizing I'm not taking care of me. So now for me, it's important that I honor my boundaries. I always say to students and clients, our boundaries are never broken. We break them. When we don't honor our boundaries, we give permission for others to not honor them. So if your days are no working Fridays, you don't work Fridays. If you don't work Mondays, you don't work Mondays. Because the minute you dishonor that, then whatever happens after that, it's your responsibility. So for me, it's so important that I have time out. And even though I'm very vivacious out there, and it looks like I'm an extrovert, I'm actually quite an introvert. So as soon as time, like today, it's Saturday, I'm so excited. I've got 1 client, and then I've got the rest of the afternoon to myself, and I'm going to sit, and I've got to finish a book, and that's it, And Saturday, Sunday, I'm not teaching. So I love my space. And so I do a lot of me time. Week, if I go out during the week, it's very rare. It's got to be a really special occasion, because I love my sleep, and I love I get up early every day, and yoga as well. When I'm in those moments of stress, yoga, meditation, at least, even if I do 10 minutes in the morning, just to start my day, that's it. If I'm doing my proper sadhana, I'll do 20. But if I'm not doing my sadhana, I'll do 10 minutes just in bed. Just
any is good, isn't it? Like
any is good. Even 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I think walking is so underrated, and there's been so much research to show how beneficial walking is for your mind, and even as a form of exercise. Like the benefits are just extraordinary compared with other types of exercise.
Well, I do strength training, and my trainer said to me, all you need to do is, if you're doing strength training, is walk 10,000 steps a day. And I said, but why wouldn't I do run and cardio? Because you don't need it. It works on your body's composition. So it gets everything moving. And he said, look at every animal out there. You don't see them stretching. They'll do a 30-second stretch. They'll run, they'll rest, but they're always walking. And look at their bodies. And I said, you're right. And he said, just walk. It works on your body's composition. It works on the mental capacity. It works on emotionally. And 10,000 steps is about an hour and a half. But you don't have to do it in one go. I do 2 goes. Like after we finish, I'll have lunch and then I'll go for my walk. I've got a client and then I'll go for another walk. So I'll do 2 20-minute walks. It's 40 minutes. That's plenty.
Yeah, I even do it like if I'm on the phone now, like I walk on when I'm on the phone rather than just sitting there, and just, you know, if I'm waiting for something to cook, I'll just pace around and, you know, just to get some steps in. So,
my friends will say to me, where do you find the time to listen to so many podcasts? I'm forever listening to a podcast. And I say, because I'm always, I mean, as a therapist, I've got information that comes in, and when a client comes with something, with whatever the issue is, I go, oh, you know what? I just heard this in a podcast the other day. And they go, how do you find the time? I said, I walk. There's no way I will sit down and listen to a podcast. I haven't got time to sit down and listen to a podcast.
No. And I'm normally working on something else, so I don't.
So I walk and listen, because I do 2 walks. That's 2 podcasts a day if I want, or one in split into 2 segments. Yeah.
That's it. And so I'm going to ask you now that you've been in the industry for a number of years, what do you wish you knew when you first began? Like, if you could go back in time and give yourself some advice at the beginning of your journey, what would it be?
Oh, God, you know, getting out there, it's not like it is now. Now social media gets you out there. I'm still a little bit social media shy. I wish I had someone helping me out throughout the process. Like, I had a mentor. So my teacher in Sydney, he helped me in how to manage the classes. He would say, you need to do this, you need to do that. His wife, Teresa, she helped me with the marketing. So she would say, you know, we're going to be advertising in that. Back then it was a Novo magazine. There was another one, the Lifestyle Living Now there was a magazine. And she would say, we're going to promote, we're going to put an advert, you want to pay $500 and be in it for this month. So that aspect was easy. So people had that magazine. It was a free magazine. No one paid for it. But what no one told me was, you need to do the work. And when they would say, you need to do the work, I never understood. I thought I'll go home and I've got a trigger and I'll work on it. But when you've got a trigger and you're working on it, you're only ever going to see your perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm always right, because it's my perspective, and my perspective is right to me, but it's not right in the bigger picture. So I wish someone had said to me, you need to go see somebody. Like, every psychologist has to bounce off their another psychologist. It's part of their work. They can't see clients if they're not venting. Wow, and they bounce off, you know, I've got this patient and this is happening, and they'll talk about the patient. So one thing I didn't know and I didn't do, like I said at the beginning, I never saw someone professionally to work on what was coming up for me. I didn't see someone physically to let go of the stress. I didn't see someone on I wasn't doing exercise for myself to release it. So I always say and I see this a lot, we think we know it all. We're in that space when you first become whatever it is. You can become whatever field you're in. Once you've got the title of expertise, you think you're the expert. Now, you have a level of expertise, but you don't know it all. And if we continue running our programs and running our life and seeing patients and teaching with that attitude, I know it because I've got the level of expertise, and you're not getting someone to bounce off, then you will see the ripple effect of your patients or clients or students drop. And you will see the type of clients you get in. We'll talk about that later. And you sort of think, this is me. It's not them. So I say to a lot of my students, you have to see somebody. You've got to have I have a coach that I work with once a week.
Yeah.
I have a physical therapist that I work with for my body. I do physical training. I have therapist friends that we do swaps with once a week, once a fortnight. I have a psychologist I see every 5 to 6 weeks, and I love seeing him because he can't tell me what to do. He can only listen. So I say, Jim, this happened and that happened. He can only ask me questions. And then he goes, have you thought of this? And I go, no, I don't want to talk about that. And he goes, no, we'll go there again. And I'm like, all right, let's go there. And I love him. He's a homeopath as well. So he helps me with my constitution. And when I drop, I tell him I'm dropping. And he said, get back on your Natfos and your Tuja. Get back on it. I'm back on track. So anyone, I train a lot of practitioners, and I say to them, you've got to find someone to work with. At the beginning, you think you don't need it, and you'll see down the track. And when your clients stop coming to see you, that's because you're not doing the work, because you don't have the capacity to hold that space. So that means it's time to go. So definitely get someone on board to work with you, even if it's once a month. You just got to have someone to say, to release it and to settle your nervous system, whatever process, it could be kinesiology, it could be Bowen therapy, it could be chiropractor. It doesn't matter. Just have someone that you can work on the physical level, someone that can work on your emotional level, and someone that can work on your spiritual and mental level. I always say we've got 4 bodies, the mental, emotional, or this, physical and spiritual. And there's one aspect of those 4 bodies that you manage well and you run well with. So mine's the spiritual and the mental, but my physical and emotional body, oh my God, like the poor partner that has to deal with me when I'm not emotionally well. So they're the 2 areas. Strengthen those areas that are weak, and then you're balanced. But when you've got one weak body and one strong body, then you're out of balance. And so how do you manage that? How can you be working for anybody, even with your family, if you're not balanced? And we see that, how our family responds.
Absolutely.
So what about you? How do you manage because you do so much?
Well, I need my sadhana in the morning. Like I really need it, and I need to get to sleep early at night. I wake up super early so I can do it. I have to do it in the morning, otherwise it doesn't happen. So, I mean, I get up and I make chai, and then I do yoga, and I do weights here. I do weight training here, and walk, and they're my main things, and meditation. On the weekends, I go down to the beach and do my chanting and meditation, and then I take photos and have a swim, and that's just I love my weekends where I can do that.
Oh, beautiful.
But and then just sometimes I might do the odd yoga nidra during the day if I if I can, and I talk to friends and family as well throughout the day. Otherwise, I could just be so stuck at the computer. I have to make sure I get away from the computer sometimes because this is so consuming. But it's my sadhana. Like I need that, and I teach yoga as well. So I find actually teaching yoga helps me more than my students because like I find because I have to stop what I'm doing and create this space. I teach some ladies in my lounge room, and so and it's always on a working day, and I have to then get away from the computer. I have to go and sort of vacuum the lounge room and organize the space, and that almost organizes the space in for me spiritually and emotionally as well. And then teaching, I can't be stressed or thinking about social media or work when I'm teaching yoga. I have to be right there. And so I find that is actually great therapy, was being able to do that twice a week, because and even when I feel like I can't fit it in, and if someone asks me to teach yoga, I always say yes, because I think clearly that the universe is telling me you need to get away and do this now. So I find that so helpful. So that's really it's really what I do. Make sure I eat well, and sometimes I need to rest. Like this week has been crazy for me in terms of work, but I slept the other morning and I didn't have any classes or meetings. I taught uni till late into the evening, and so I just let myself rest, and I feel so much better. Like I was like, oh my God, I feel like a different person just getting 8 hours of sleep. So sleep is so important. Sometimes I forget that.
Yeah.
So
and I love that you said when people ask you to teach, I say yes, because I don't teach yoga anymore in the like public. It's only because of the space. I'd rather now I don't want to lug any
no,
yoga mats anymore. I did all that.
no.
But when I go to the ashram and I do it for
Yeah,
me. I say I
yeah,
volunteer for me, because it's that moment of I prepare my classes. I'm thinking about how am I going to make this flow. I said it brings me back and it reminds me of why I started
yes,
this world. Why did I get into the wellness industry? Yoga and meditation is what got me settled and got me out of the funk that I was in at that moment
yeah,
when I was going through a divorce. And it got me to the next level of becoming a healer, and it got me to the next level of becoming a coach. So I do meditation once a week. I teach that at my home. So coming back to the yoga is one way of me going, and I feel the universe says, remember why you're doing this. And they send me
yeah,
off to the ashram for 3 days.
yeah,
And I go, yes, I
remember?
remember
Yeah,
why I'm doing this. And if I don't go, I know that I start getting a little bit funny. So I
yes,
love that you said that. I say
yeah.
yes too when I go to the ashram. Can you teach? I go, yep, what classes? I'm
Yeah.
ready.
'Cause honestly, like learning, like, because I was practicing, doing my own sadhana for years, but yeah, like learning was such a gift, and it's more like it's just you like the messenger. Like it's not me. I'm just sharing what was taught to me. So
Yeah.
and just the impact that you see on people who do come in, and like I'm not super stressed, but I'm running around beforehand, and then in that space I'm calm. Then they start to become calm, and then they float out the door after,
Yeah. And then you walk
um,
out and they go, God, I'm glad I said yes.
yeah, it's just it
Yeah.
just feels completely different. So it's just magical. I really love it.
Yeah.
And I was going to say too, because about what you said about doing the work, I remember Swami Narayan said, "Beware of the yoga teacher who doesn't have their own practice." Like, so yes, if you're teaching, you're not really. It helps you, but it's not your own sadhana.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
you just
Yeah,
need
I
to
love
do that
that.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
Now, you've also mentioned social media. And so now it's really changed, isn't it? Like with the wellness space, where and particularly during COVID, I think it really amplified the fact that the yoga teachers and people in the wellness space just had to shift online. They were online before, but in a much bigger way. They developed courses, they did live coaching, all that sort of stuff, because people couldn't actually physically go to them in person. And so now that social media plays such a big part in sort of building your community around what you do, and promoting what you do to new people, how do you navigate social media in a way that still maintains your own wellness? Because trust me, I know it can become quite addictive. And so how do you manage that? Like, what's your approach to social media?
I've been in social media when it started. I was in NetSpace. NetSpace?
Oh yeah,
SpaceNet?
um,
SpaceNet.
MySpace.
MySpace.
My-
MySpace. And back then it was all about emoji. There weren't emojis then. They had avatars and songs and a lot of pictures.
yes,
And then Facebook came out, and I didn't know how to navigate Facebook. I didn't get it. I thought, why do we have this Facebook? But then I didn't understand it. And then when it became a platform for advertising. So
yes,
now for me, and it's really funny I say this, I use it as a form of getting my message across. I used to be one of those that would grab quotes from Tiny Buddha, for example, and put it up as a picture. And then I'd
yeah,
quote my understanding of the quote, and, I'd get 20, 30 likes or whatever. And what I realized over the years is that people actually want to know about you.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
They don't care about what you're offering. They just want to know you. I'll put a
yeah,
picture of me and I'll get 150 likes.
yeah,
And I mean, wow, you really care? Like a stupid picture. And I'll put a quote about, maybe about love and how, what it means. And I'll get 10 likes. And then I'll put a
yeah,
picture
like,
of,
okay.
yeah, or I'll put a picture of my class and then people want to know, where are you? I didn't know you do this. And I am quite private when it comes to social media. And I
Yeah,
say I'm private in the sense that I wish I could be out there like the 30-year-olds. And they put everything out there. They're there. And I just
TMI, sometimes.
and I have friends and therapists that go, it's just, this is their wording. It's the age group, Ange. What is, you're calling me an old fart. So So I put my message across. Occasionally I'll put a little bit of me. But one thing I have noticed is I don't sit there and scroll. So I'll put a post in the morning, like back in the day, putting a post between 7 and 9 a.m. worked because everyone was going to work. Yeah. Now everyone's working from home. So they're not looking at social media until 10, 11 when they're having a break from 1 hour of working at home.
Yeah.
Because now they go up, they exercise, they're out there and they come back into their home office. And then at 11 o'clock, they'll grab a cup of tea or coffee or have a break. And then they'll look at social media. So now you post between 11 and 12 or 1 when they're having a lunch break. So people think, oh, but you're always on social media. I go, no, I'll put a post up and that's it. I'll probably come back in the evening and maybe at night and I'll scroll 15 minutes. And I'll tell you what I do scroll. I scroll funny things like people's misfortunes. I kill myself laughing when, you watch those reels of people falling over or that kills me. And that sets me for bed. I go to bed laughing and I go, right, I've done enough. So I'm not a big social media person. It looks like I am because I post maybe now I'm not posting as much as I used to because I am really busy. And so that means that takes priority. And I miss a lot of birthdays. And, the only way I remember people's birthdays is because Facebook tells me. Otherwise. And then I go on it and I see someone post, thanks everyone for your warm wishes. Like, oh, shit.
I know. I'm like, I always put happy belated birthday.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So I'm not a big, however, I do follow a lot of people. And I love a lot of people's content. And so when I come across people that are very old school that say, no, I don't do social media, I say to them, you should. Even Instagram is the best one, even though there's a lot of adverts now. But you follow the people you like and watch their content. So follow Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, follow the holistic psychologist, follow people that you admire and watch their content. Even if it's a 2-minute reel, I said, because there's a lot of information out there. And you need new information. If we don't create new information, we're not creating new synaptic connections, and that means we're going to stay stuck in the old ways. So, the only way to create new neural pathways is with new information and doing new habits. So,
and I like like time limits as well. Like I'm a big believer of not just sitting there scrolling, but actually having a purpose for why you're using it, and then using the stuff that you learn in your offline life. So, like, find a great recipe and go and cook it, or find a great place to go and visit, or just go and see something you could actually make offline and then go and do it. So actually using it as a tool to learn and do off it. So
and I discovered something which I didn't know worked, and I actually thought, shit, this actually works. So what had happened was I put my adverts of a class in Facebook, and I don't even invite people anymore because how many invites do we get on Facebook? So I just put it up and I put it up maybe on my story, on my feed saying I'm running access bars this week, whatever. And I had a few people coming to my, register, and I always ask them, how did you hear about me? Or how did you know about the class? And they said, oh, it popped up in my Facebook. And I went, oh, it works. So it pops up in their feed. And they're not my friends. I've never met them. But it popped because it got likes. The algorithm sends it to them and says, you might be interested in this. And I thought, wow, I'm going to continue this. So I continue putting up my adverts of my, I don't pay for them. They're just the events because it does come up in your feed. I don't scroll enough for a lot to come up, but people scroll. So for me now, social media is more about reminding people that I am doing the work. Because if I don't put on social media a thing, you won't see anything at all. And occasionally I do like to post a photo every so often, and that's when I realize how many people are nosy, want to know what you're doing, and straight after that put a post of what you want to really share, because the algorithm's already high. It means that all those people that saw me will get that next feed. I've worked all that out.
And the thing is too, so with the events, if someone that they know has interacted with it, then you're just showing it to say such and such is interested in this event, and then it sort of pops up that way.
I had a client who's become a friend now show up I went to a sound bath, and she came up and I go, hello, what are you doing here? What a surprise. And she said, oh, Facebook said that you were coming, so I came.
Like, that's a bit creepy. Like, isn't it? Lucky your friends. But
Lucky we're friends. And I said, I'm so glad. So now I put it, so in case anyone wants to join me, I'm going to this sound bath. So, you know, at the end of the day, it is beneficial, but I'm not a big social media person.
Yeah. And I think, too, you have to, like, people ask me, do I need to be on it? And for my business, and it's like, it depends if the people you want to connect with are on it. So if you're, and for a business, I think sometimes if you don't have the means to meet the demand, it's like a tap. So if you don't have any clients, then do it, you know, to try and get attention. But if you've got enough clients, then be careful, because if you keep posting, and you have to turn people away or put them on a waiting list, and sometimes that works the opposite way, you know. So it's about sort of looking at it in relation to what you want to achieve on it. Now we're into we're nearly into April of 2023. So what are your key goals for this year, and how are you on track to meet them? Have you made any goals this year?
You know, it's funny you say that, and I'm glad that you're saying it straight after this, because one of the goals that I have for 2023 is to get on social media.
Yeah, good.
So I've got a tripod. Where are you? Here we are.
Yeah.
So I've got a tripod. It's still got the tag, because I was trying to put my iPad and it didn't work, and it's not wide enough. So I've got an iPad Pro. And then I've got my lighting. So I bought lighting. I've just taken out of the box.
Yeah.
So my intention for 2023, and I know, thanks for reminding me we're in April and I haven't done it, is to get my content online. So I've come to a space where I love people. I love the interaction. And, you know, everyone says to me, you cannot stop doing face-to-face because it's your energy that people come for. I said, I know, but I haven't got the capacity and the patience anymore to be teaching the babies anymore. I need professionals, because they're at that level and I can advance them. So I said, this workshop that I'm teaching, I was, say, for example, my basic beliefs workshop and energetic work, I sit there and I say, I haven't got the patience for this. I can't train babies to understand that level. But if you give me a professional and they're saying, hey, I want to know what's going on here and what happens here, and I go, okay, this is what's going on. And then we can have this big conversation. So 2023 is bringing all my basic work online at a price that everyone can afford it. And it'll just be broken down into 2 or 3 segments. So one will be like beliefs, how to change beliefs, and what are your beliefs and how they're working for you, how they're actually beneficial and detrimental. Because a positive belief can actually be detrimental to you, because you don't explore anything else but that. So I show them and how to change them, and what feelings and emotions. And then I'll do one on manifesting, because I love manifesting.
Yes.
But I want to give them the how-tos and the little toolbox. And then from there, if they want to explore a little bit for themselves, then come and see me. Yeah. So that's my aim. So 2023.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, and we had this discussion in the new year with you, and you got me all excited. And then I said to a friend of mine, when I decided I'm definitely doing this in 2023, and I said, I've got to get myself out there now. Enough of hiding behind my clients and my students, because I protect my clients and students a lot. And so I, after the conversation with you in the new year, I said, okay, I'm going to get out there. And I put my hand in my heart. I'll do this. I'll go through all that fear stuff. And a friend, a coach that I worked with earlier this year said, well, do you mind if I do a podcast on you? And I was like, oh, okay, let's do this. And then and then I decided, I'm going to do this. And a friend of mine invited me to her house for dinner, and her husband does a lot of social media and a lot of YouTube, and he does a lot of technology. And so I went to dinner to the house, and I said, John, I've decided to go online. He goes, great. And he just grabbed me and he did the lighting. Let's work out what lighting you need. Let's work out what you need. And he tested, and he said, you're a natural on camera. I said, no, I'm a natural presenter. That I can do naturally. I said, I'm just a little bit shy to get on social media and present. He goes, no, you're going to be amazing. And he just gave me everything that you said to me, like, get your content out there and then just put snippets so that people go back to find it. And I said, I'm going to work with someone this year. I've just got to get out there. So he told me what to buy. So I've bought it all. And then you said, hey, let's interview you. And I went, oh, this is happening. So I feel like I'm training wheels at the moment. So that's my aim. So I said to everyone, oh, this Karen's going to interview me, and I know I'm going to work with her. I know I've already got it. It was already created in January, the 1st of January, because we were having that conversation over the new year. I said, I said, so I know that this is all happening for me to break open a bit. So that's my goal.
Excellent. Well, you made a great start, and it's such a good idea to do that, to put your content online, and then it means that too, you can just point people to that as well as like an introduction. So that's great. And we've got one last question in my list of questions for the show, and we sort of touched on it a little bit, but often what happens, and you even said with you when you first started into the wellness space, that you nearly burnt yourself out because you were just doing too much and not taking care of yourself. So what advice would you give to people just starting out in the industry to avoid burnout?
All right, before I answer that question, one of the questions I really wanted to answer that you wrote, and I had a look and I said, oh, she hasn't asked me that question, was about the breakthrough and the transformation of someone.
Oh, yes, we jumped on. Yes, let's go back.
Oh, so I'm sorry. That one before that. Yeah.
So, oh, yes, no, I skipped it. So, and that wasn't intentional either. So my question about the transformation was, can you share, without, maintaining confidentiality, one of the most interesting or inspirational breakthroughs that you've had with one of your clients?
Yeah. I share this story up until now because it is, I'd say it's the most phenomenal story. And so I've got these clients that have been with me for, I reckon they've been with me for 12 years. Like, I'm now seeing their children.
Yeah, wow.
So, and it started off with seeing the parents and then them and now their children. And so it's great because I know all the patterns. It's really beautiful. And I remember this particular client come to see me. And we had a session. He was doing my coaching program, and we're at level 6. And stage 6 was about procrastination and power. So where are you in perfectionism or procrastination, and where's your power? And he came in, and my session with him was supposed to be at 5. And he texted me at 4:15, and he said, is there any chance I can see you now? And I was going to dinner at 6, meeting a friend at 6:30. So I said, sure, come over now. So I texted my friend. I said, listen, we can make dinner at 6 now because my client's coming earlier. Anyway, he came down, he sat down, and he was going on and on and on about this particular client that had this money ransom. And he was saying, she's got my money ransom. It's $180,000. And you don't, and I'm like, you got to let it go because, you're holding that. And I was trying to work out, is it prejudice? Is it what's going on? Like, and I'm trying to get that information and trying to get that information to get clear for me to tell him. And I'm writing words and I go, no, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. And then I finally wrote ransom. He's holding the money ransom because he kept saying, she's holding my money ransom. And we'll just call him Peter. I said, Peter, stop. We got to stop. You have to let it go. You've got to trust the process. He goes, you don't understand. I have to pay my clients $180,000. She's holding my money ransom. And I said, Peter, I promise you. Now look at what I said, Karen. I said, I promise you. Let me do my work. I don't know about your business, but I know energy very well. And right now, you're holding that money ransom. Let it go. Yeah. You don't understand. I've got it. And I said, Peter, please let me do my job. Let's just let this go. Let me do a quick process on you to release it. And I promise you that money will be in your bank account tomorrow. It was a Thursday night. He goes, there's no way that money will be in my bank account tomorrow because even if you put it in tonight or in tomorrow, it'll be there on Monday. I said, I promise you that money will be in your account, but you got to let me do my work. And he looked at me and he goes, I'm being a pain in the ass, aren't I? And I go, you are, please. All right. And I looked at the time and I go, so much for me going to dinner early. It was now 10 to 5. It was like 5 minutes to 5. And I'm like, I said, I have to go to the toilet. So I went to the toilet, came back, and he's sitting there with his phone and he's like this on his phone. And I said, is everything all right? And he goes, I go, what? And he goes, the money's in my account. It just went in. I go, I told you. So my heart was beating 1,000 miles. And he goes, how does that work? I said, and I say this to everyone, this is why I'm a quantum healer, because it happens in that moment. It's that energy in that moment, and that reality is your reality. So her not paying that $180,000 that was sitting in the ether, the minute he decided to drop it and say, okay, do what you need to do for me to let, I said, I said to everyone, it was like at that moment, he was holding on to that money. The money was always going to come in, but it was only going to come in when you drop it. The minute he dropped it, it landed into his bank account.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, does that make sense? I mean, try
to
work out the quantum physics of that.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you're trying to think of something and trying to think so hard you can't do it, and then you just stop and then it comes to you.
And it comes.
Like
so he had one of his employees see me as well. And so the next week, his employee came and he goes, what happened? Everyone is still talking about what happened. Like, that lady, we thought we'd lost it. And I said, till this day, I still shake about it, because I think, God, that was it. And to promise him that money will be in his bank account.
Yeah.
You don't do that as a therapist.
Oh no. Well, clearly it was something was coming through you.
I said to my I just knew, because he kept using the word ransom. I said, he's holding it ransom. It's him. That money's going to come in. He's just got to let it go. And it happened, you know.
Yeah.
And a beautiful girl, she does wedding planning, and she came to me. She said, I charge $500 and I want to charge $750. And I said, okay, let's work on your fees around $750. So I do this process where I get them to go into the amount that they want to work with, or whatever it is, you know, whatever fee they have. And until they get to that point where their body now goes, I don't want to go there. And I go, okay, now let's find what's going on in there. And we got to say 900, and she was 750. She was, this is nerve-wracking. And then we got to 900 and she felt comfortable. And we got to 990 and she goes, and then I said, okay, let's do 1,010. That's only $20. And she started bursting into tears. And I said, right, let's go where that is. What happened? Why, and then she told me, it's, people think I'm a fake, I'm a fraud if I charge this much, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, let's stick to 990 until you get over that hurdle. Now she went from she was charging $550. And she wanted to go to 990. Anyway, 6 weeks later, she sent me her PayPal receipt of a client paying her $990 in 6 weeks. And I said, you did it. We can do 1,010 now. So that's what it keeps me going when I see those results in people. And all you're doing is just working with their fear, where they're at. I'm not doing anything. I say to people, I'm not really the healer here. I'm just the one that has that opens that space, holds it for you to safely move into that next level. Yeah. That's my job.
Yeah. They're great stories.
The next question.
So the final question was around, how would you guide new people working in the space to avoid burnout? Because I know what can happen, and you sort of said similarly, you were like teaching everywhere, you're trying to heal the world, you're trying to help everyone because you've got these skills now. And then it can often actually lead to you needing healing yourself. So what advice would you give to avoid that from happening?
I'm doing I do a lot of coaching, and I'm coaching a lady at the moment that does apraxia. She's one of the leaders in Australia. And the first thing I say to them is, you've got to be clear on your working days and your days off. Do not budge on those. My Fridays is not a working day, or my Saturdays is generally not a working day anymore. But if you're a regular client and I can't see you that week and they need to see me, Saturdays I open up for them. I don't see new clients on a Saturday. It's my day. So what are your working days and what are your working hours? Stick to that. Because if you honor those boundaries, then you're honoring you. What are your days off? And stick to that. Make that plan. 2, you have to have a goal. And I don't say a goal for the year or a goal for the month. You have to have your schedule so clear for the next day or for the next week or for the next month. So clear, especially when you're working with clients, because you need to cater in friends and family and your social events. So every night or at the beginning of the week, okay, where am I here in my calendar? Where is my time? Where is my therapy? Oh, actually, skip that for a minute. 3, schedule it in. You need the work done. You need to see somebody. It has to be, whether it's a physical therapist, whether it's a mental therapist, emotional therapist, you got to see someone at least once a fortnight, because your energy, you've only got so much energy. And when we're holding the space for clients and students, our energy drops. We need to get that energy back. We need someone to hold the space for us. If we don't have someone holding the space for us, then when we're doing our work, then we're not at 100%. And I say, when you're doing the work, two things happen. When you're doing the work, as in having someone work on you, and when you're doing the work, meaning advancing, that's another thing. As therapists and teachers and facilitators, we need to advance ourselves. So we need to continue to do the work, meaning we need to go do symposiums. Is that how you say it? Conferences.
Symposium? Yeah,
symposium.
symposium.
Yeah, we need to read and we need to learn from what's out there now, because we're in an era right now where things are moving so fast. We're not doing the why is this happening to me? Now it's about, hey, this is happening to me. How do I get out of this? Show me the path. So you need to advance in your skill sets, because if you don't do the work advancing your skill sets and you're not doing the work of people working with you, you will attract that as your clients. And you sit there going, oh, they're not listening to me. They're not doing the work. And then you got to go, where am I not doing the work?
Yeah.
Right? Two, if I am not at that level, then I'm going to get the same type of clients, the same stories. And I sit there going, oh, this is me. That's not them. Because the minute that I learn something new, I have these clients that when they book in, sometimes I've got this client in New Zealand. Whenever she books in, I know I'm at another level, because that means that she's at another level for me to work at that level. Yeah. So I always say to her, I love it when you book in, even if it's once every 6 months, because I know that whatever I've learned, she's going to be my practice.
Yeah.
So when you work on yourself, seeing somebody, and when you work on yourself, progressing with information, your clientele comes at that level. And so then all those ones drop off, and all of a sudden you've got this new level of clientele. And I get excited because I think, oh, great, we're going to work on this. And so then all of a sudden the next week, everyone's booking in with the same theory. Like when I mastered working with alcohol, for the next month, all I got was people with alcohol addictions. And I went, oh, I've got this. And so then, does that make sense? So so it's for your benefit. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck with the trauma or the same type of clients. And I don't do trauma anymore. There's a lot of trauma therapists out there. And I say to them, oh, I don't attract them anymore. I used to attract them. I don't attract them anymore because I'm beyond the why did this happen to me. I'm like, where are you? Where do you want to go? Okay, let's go there. So get the work done on you and progress in your skill sets. New information.
Yeah, that's great advice throughout the whole thing. So thank you very much. And do you have any final words of wisdom to share before we wrap up?
Final words of wisdom to share. I recently had someone say to me that they don't do the work. They did that in their 20s. They don't.
Okay. Right.
And when I saw that, I went, wow, God, I wish I was there. Like, I'd be levitating if that were me. And and it triggered me. Of course it was triggering me. And I just went, and I sat there and I went for a walk. I thought about it. I did the work. I said, what really triggered me here? In the end, I said, you know what, Ange? How old are you? You're 50. Your friend's in her 30s. The one in between is in her 40s. How were you in your 30s? Go back to, and I went back, how was I in my 30s? Oh, my God, I knew it all. I knew it all. Like, I knew what you needed to do. I knew, like, I would give you a step-by-step process on life. I had the manual of life. The minute that awareness came in, I went, oh, you can let it go now. It's not like, yes, you're in your 30s. Of course, you don't need to do any self-development. You don't need to read. You got it all down pat. I want to see you at 40, 42. 40, when the real challenges come in and you look at life and go, how am I going to do this one? What awareness, knowledge, wisdom do I have to deal with this? That the minute that all sort of opened up, I went, I'm the wisest now in my 50s than I ever was. Because knowledge, information is fantastic, but if you don't apply that information, it's wasted information. Dr. Joe says information is just information, it's knowledge, but knowledge applied is wisdom. And if you don't have that information, you don't have the knowledge to apply it when those challenges come in, then you'll never have the wisdom. You'll only have the wisdom based at where your knowledge and awareness is. So if you're not putting in new information, you're going to process everything the old way that you have dealt with in the past. And there's amazing new ways to deal with now, you know. Self-awareness, know thyself is the key now. It's not the process anymore. It's how much do I know me, and what awareness do I have about this, and how much of this pattern is still in me that I need to change. So wisdom, we don't know it all. And whilst we still have blood going through our veins and we're in a physical body, we don't know it all. We're
Absolutely.
Still, I'm glad you have the same reaction as me.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been a really great episode. And thanks to everyone for watching. And we'll see you back for episode 10 in next month. I haven't got the guest lined up yet, but I'll let you know. So thanks, everyone.